All right, in this lesson and the one after this, we're going to be looking at solving rational equations, and that's a learning target we'll be looking at too. First problem says a music download service advertises downloads for $1 per song. The service also charges a monthly access fee of $15. If a customer downloads songs in 1 month, the bill in dollars will be the following here, 15 plus X. So it'd be $15 plus however many songs. The actual cost per song then is the total cost, 15 plus X, divided by however many songs that they choose. So it'd be the average cost there. So find out how many songs a person would need to download to make the actual cost per song $1.25. Well, if we want to make this average here, all of this average out to be $1.25, we'd want to set them equal to each other. So we want to figure out what makes these two equal. Well, like we've been doing, in order to solve this, and this shouldn't be 5, this should be X. In order to make these equal, we would need a common denominator. So what you want to do is get the same denominator on both sides, which means we need to multiply this side by X over X. So then our equation becomes 15 plus X over X equals 125. X would be on top over X. And now we want to solve this out. Now, what you'll see as we do these problems is when you get a common denominator that's the same, that will end up just going away when you solve it. Because if you solve, one way you've learned to solve this is to cross multiply. Well, if we cross multiply this, you'll end up with 15 plus X times an X equals $1.25x times another X. Well, if we got X on both sides and we divide by an X now, those cancel out. So really what you can do instead of doing that is once you get the common denominator here, you can simply drop that out of the problem and just solve the numerators. Because if the denominator is the same, if you want these equal, that means the numerators have to be the same. So now to finish solving this, get all the x's to one side, we'd want a minus 1x here. That cancels out, so you got 15 equal to 0.25x. And then if you divide by 0.25, looks like 60 songs it's going to take to make the average cost per song $1.25. Okay, so rational equation, any equation that contains one or more rational expressions. So what we're going to be doing is trying to set one rational expression equal to another one and then be able to solve it for the missing variable. All right, what we're going to be doing to do this is using common multiples. So to solve rational equations, you will need to eliminate the denominators. You can do this by multiplying both sides of the equation by the least common multiple of the denominators. The least common multiple of the denominators is called the least common denominator. So we want to try to get the least common denominator in all these. So on number 2, that's what we're going to start out. What is the least common denominator? So looking at this, 5x and x, it looks like 5x is the least common denominator. However, that first fraction and the last fraction don't have that. So we're going to start by doing some multiplying. We're going to multiply this by 5 over 5 to make that a least common denominator of 5x. The first fraction needs an x, so we're going to multiply that by x over x so that it's going to be the same thing. So now we're going to do our multiplying here. On that first one, 1 times x is going to be x in the numerator. On the bottom, 5 times x is 5x in the denominator. We didn't do any multiplying to that second one. On the last one, 1 times 5 is 5 on top, and 5 times x is 5x on bottom. Okay, now that we have the same denominator here, we got the least common denominator, you can now multiply every term by that least common denominator and it will cancel out. So if we were to now multiply all these by 5x, they cancel out. So what you're left with is just the numerators, that x minus 2 equals 5. And that now is not too hard to solve. All we have to do is add 2 to the other side. Looks like in this problem, x equals 7. Okay, now the last thing you want to do is check your answer. Make sure that that answer, if you plug it back in, works. But basically, you're just checking to see that you don't get any division by 0. Otherwise, that's called a extraneous solution. So if we were to put 7 back in here for here and here, are we going to get any dividing by 0? No, we'll be okay. 7 does check out as an okay answer. Let's try another one here. So on number 3, we want to do the same thing. Get the least common denominator. Here we got, first one has a denominator 2x, the second one just 1x, and then the last one has no denominator. So it appears that 2x is our common denominator. So on this one, we don't need to do any multiplying on this first one. The second one we do. In order to make that 2x, we're going to need to multiply by 2. So we'll multiply 2 to the top and 2 to the bottom. On the last one, this has no denominator at all. So now we need to multiply by both 2 and x. So 2x over 2x. All right, so now if we do our multiplying here, we got x minus 3 over 2x plus 9 times 2 is 18 over 2x equals 2 times 2x is 4x over 2x. Now that we have the same denominator all the way through, if we were to just multiply everything by 2x, all those cancel out. So now we just are left with our numerator of x minus 3 plus 18 equals 4x. If we solve this out, we should figure out what x is. We got some like terms here. We can minus an x from both sides. And if we divide by 3, it looks like x equals 5. We want to do a quick check to make sure 5 works. Looks like 5 is going to be fine. If we put 5 here and 5 here, neither one is going to have a denominator of 0. Okay, number 4 on the back, same thing, same idea. We want to get this one to come out. Now here you start seeing there's some pluses in here or minuses in the denominator, so that's a term kind of to itself. It's kind of like this is in parentheses. It's one thing together. So we're going to also need to do multiplying on this one. It looks like the least common denominator here then would be a z minus 2. And then whatever the least common multiple is of 4 and 24, or 4 and 28. Well, 4 does go into 28, so it looks like 28 times z minus 2 is our least common denominator. So that first one there, we're going to have to multiply by the z plus 2. So top and bottom needs to get multiplied by z plus 2. The second fraction here is going to need to get multiplied by 28 because it doesn't have that factor in it. And the last fraction needs both. So this we're going to need to multiply by 28 times z plus 2. Oh, sorry, not 28 because it already has a 4. So it looks like I made a mistake here. 7 times 4 is that. So we want to multiply by 7 times z plus 2. Okay, because 7 times 4 is going to be 28. So now we want to do all the multiplying. On this first one, we'll have 9 times z plus 2 on top. On bottom, we'll have 28 times z plus 2. On the next one, on top, we got 3 times 28 here that we'll have to figure out. On the bottom, we'll have 28 times z plus 2. And then on the last one here, we'll have 3 times 7 times z plus 2. All over 4 times 7 is going to be 28 z plus 2. Okay, so now what we can do, if we multiply every term now by 28z plus 2, all these denominators should be gone. So now we just got to solve the numerators. So on this first one, it looks like we can do a little bit of distributing here. Distribute this to both. We get 9z plus 2. 9 times 2 is 18. On the next one, we got 3 times 28, which is 84. Equals, because we got an equal sign here. That's going to be 3 times 7, we can change that to 21. And so we got 21 times z plus 2. We got to distribute there too. That's going to be 21z plus 42. Now go through and solve this out, and we got our answer for z. Let's put those like terms together first here. 18 plus 84 is going to be 102. If we keep solving here, we could minus 9z and minus 42, so we're going to get 60 on that side, 12z on this side, and if we divide, looks like z ends up being 5 here. Okay, do a quick check. If we plug that back in, are we going to be okay? Yeah, if we put 5 in, we're going to be fine. All right, let's try another one out here. So on this one, again, we got to find what's the least common denominator going to be. Looks like x minus 2 is going to be part of it. And what's the least common multiple of 2 and 6? 6. What 2 goes into 6. So we want to make them all 6 times x minus 2. So that first fraction, we want to multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2. The second one, we're going to want to multiply by 6 over 6. And the last one, we're going to want to multiply by 3 to make that 6. So we need the 3, but we also need the x minus 2. All right, so now we got a bunch of multiplying we got to do. We're going to have 5 times x minus 2 on top. On bottom 6 times x minus 2. Plus, we got 12 over 6 times x minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 2 on top. And on bottom 6 times x minus 2. If we were to go through now and multiply everything by 6 times x minus 2, those all are gone. So now we'll solve the top. 5 times x is 5x minus 10. We got to distribute there. Plus, because we got a plus, 12. Got it equals. Put the equals in there. We got to distribute here too. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2 is 6. Now it's just a matter of solving this out. Combine like terms. And finish solving here. Looks like the answer comes out to be negative 4. Okay, again, do a quick check to make sure negative 4 works. If we put negative 4 in there, we're going to be fine. That's not going to be division by 0. Okay, next one. Kind of similar again. We want to find out what's that least common denominator going to be. And looks like x minus 4 is going to be part of it. And 12 does go into 48, so 48 would be the least common multiple of those. So we want to make them all the same. So the first one we're going to need to multiply by a 4 to make that 48, but also x minus 4. The second one needs 48. And the last one is going to need, looks like the x minus 4. Okay, so go through and do all the multiplying. 7 times 4 is 28 times x minus 4 over 48 x minus 4. On the second one, 9 times 48 is going to be 432 over 48 times x minus 4 equals 55 times x minus 4 over 48 times x minus 4. Since we got that least common denominator, it's all the same. If we were to multiply, that cancels out. So solve the top now. Got some distributing to do again. 28x minus, if we multiply that out, that's going to be 112 plus, I got a plus here, this other number, 432, equals, and now we got some more distributing, 55 times x minus 4 times 55 is 220. Now let's just solve an algebra equation that you guys should be pretty good at by now. 28x, if we combine these like terms, that's 320. We can add 220 over, and let's minus 28. So if we do that, that's going to be 540. 55 minus 28 is 27x. And if we divide by 27, the answer is going to be 20. And 20 does check out as an okay answer. All right, one left here. Once you pause the video, try this very last one on your own, see what you can do for that. All right, if you did it right, you should have come up with a least common denominator of 24 times 3 minus x. If you multiply that through, you get this. Now you can multiply all these out. Finally distribute, you get 15 minus 5x plus 48 equals, this one comes out to be 18 minus 6x, and if you keep solving correctly, you should get negative 45 is the answer. All right, try some of those out on the practice.